Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. So first of all, Sister Denise, I would like to thank you for your time. For me, it's a pleasure and an honor to be able to have this conversation with you. I think the various classes and texts that I have read from you, I think I really connect with some things that you express. So for me, it's doubly special to be able to interview you. And welcome to all our viewers, especially from the Latin American BK family. So maybe we could start with the core theme, with the main theme of this program, Living Yagya, the Yagya Viva in Latin America. With the main question, how did you get to know Baba and Baba's knowledge? And I wonder what were the circumstances, maybe the previous circumstances that led to you to this experience of meeting with Baba and all his knowledge. So to you.
Well, yes, thank you. I think it's really been with me my whole life because I've always sensed the presence of someone. I just didn't have all the information that you get when you come into Gyan. But I used to, as a child, really seriously argue with the priests who thought they knew everything, and I didn't think they knew anything. And they were very physical, and I was experiencing a very subtle presence around me always. And as I got closer to the time when I actually met the Brahma Kumaris, I had many experiences. And for a long time, I would have dreams and I would hear a sound in my head, a voice talking to me, saying, "You have to be a yoga teacher." And I would see in dreams what later I came to realize was the Murlis in Hindi. I would see it every night for a long, long time. So I was really being pulled. And one time I had a very strong experience when I was demanding. I said, "Who's talking in my head? You know, I'm not crazy. Thank you. Show yourself." And he did. So I thought, oh my God, what is this? I need, I said to him, send me a priest because I never seen a little point of light with a huge aura of bliss who was laughing. I said, in all my researches, there's never anything like that. Send me a priest. And then I saw the being of what later I came to understand was Daddy Janki, you know, with her long hair, how she was on Thursdays when she would wash her hair and have it open, and was giving me this really strong drishti in white. And I thought, who is this? You know, must be my spiritual teacher. And it was within a few days that I got through my work, a flyer had come about Raj Yoga. And because I had had this voice in my head saying, you have to be a yoga teacher, I thought, well, I don't know what yoga is, so how am I going to be a teacher? I better find out. So I did a course in Hatha Yoga. And I said, you know what? I don't want to teach this gymnastics. That's not my thing. Then I came to know that there is something called Raj Yoga, which was the most difficult thing in the whole universe, more difficult than climbing Mount Everest. So I said, okay, that's for me. If it's easy, I'm not interested. So And then I got this flyer. I was working in the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation at that time. And Daddy Yankee had come to England to join Sister Jayanti and others who had come to hear about Raj Yoga. There had been visits to London from Dadi Ratan Mohini, also from Sister Mohini, who is now the administrative head of the Brahma Kumaris, and also from Dr. Nirmala. The two of them were together. So a few people had come, but otherwise it was just Sister Jayanti and her mother, Rajini Ben, who were taking care of things, and Shashi Ben was there. And I was, it was very, very tiny group. And it was like all teachers, and I was a one student. So I got a very, very good resources who would answer all my 1,000,000,000 questions. And I really grasped that, yeah, this is correct, this is right. And, I had very, very powerful, visionary experiences during those early days. And occasionally, subsequently, it still happens. But, I was just amazed that I had been a thinker. I would lie in bed for hours trying to figure out what is eternity, how long is it, where exactly is God, who exactly is God, who am I, what is this, why is the world like this? All these things were going on for me since childhood. And here was the clear picture and beautifully explained. And of course, everything was in Hindi, and didn't speak Hindi at that time. So Jayanti Ben had to translate everything, which was, of course, very exhausting for her. And occasionally she wouldn't translate because it was not necessary or not, as a repetition or something. But I always wanted to know everything. And then I said to Dadi one day, I said, "Oh, I can't understand Hindi." She said, "Oh, you don't have any yoga. If you had yoga, you would understand everything." So I said, "Oh, okay." you know, and I did. She taught me how to go into her mind and know what she's saying without a translator. You know how a mind thinks and then it comes into words later, but it starts as a kind of pre-verbal idea. So she taught me how to catch her pre-verbal ideas somehow and get it. And that was amazing. And I started to, catch the Murli, and I went off for service quite quickly. Within about 6 months, I had gone off to Germany to do service there. And I went to Madhuban, and of course, the only people I could talk to were Asha Didi and the brothers, because nobody else spoke English. And I traveled around in India a lot because I said, okay, I understand this and I experience that this is real, but I have to check it. You see, I was a kind of investigative journalist, so you have to check everything. So I went to check everything. And, the way you check everything is you follow the money. So I checked, are they clean? Are they real? Are they everything, And yes, it checked out. So I said, okay, it's for me. Here I still am. That's it.
Okay, wow.
Of course, there's an
So,
endless story, but that's
yeah,
for now.
yeah. So, in a way, some words you said now of your previous experience as of some energy of some being within you, and that you
No,
tell him or tell that energy, show yourself.
it wasn't within me. It was talking to me in my head. So, I'm in my head, a soul, and that was talking to me, and I was receiving it not through my ears, right? Directly in my mind. but it was definitely not coming from inside me. It was coming from
Okay.
outside. Yeah.
Okay. So that's good to know that detail, no?
Maybe.
So in this experience, I recall this thing that Baba says about 1 second, no? It's about 1 second for the ascending stage or 1 second for the descending stage, no? And
That's right.
taking this idea of 1 second, do you recall one specific second in which in this whole new experiences you said this is it?
Well, I had a lot of seconds in which I said, not only this is it, but this is right, this is who he is, this is him, this is like a lot of things like that, because I don't believe in just a one-off thing. It has to be repetitive, repeating, it has to come many times, it has to be real. And it was. And,
Mhm,
I still have access to Baba. Um, I think that he uses visions as his advertising, which is great. If you come in at the beginning, you don't have to have normal advertising. You have special advertising, which was
mhm,
marvelous. And,
mhm,
when you experience visions, you can never, ever, ever forget them. It is burned
mhm,
into your soul. And I experienced quite a few different ones and many things. These things they accumulate, they build up, and like any relationship, sometimes they're all over you, sometimes they're gone, but the relationship is steady there. And of course, for me, the most tangible thing about Shiv Baba is the Murli, because the Murli is actual words which are actually written down on an actual piece of paper or a computer screen or something, but they're tangible. Love
mhm,
and peace and power and all of that, it varies. It's like music, up, down, loud, soft, sometime there, sometime not there. And in the music, even the silences are important for the music.
mhm,
And so yeah, I knew he was there, and then I knew all the details, and I continue to study because the Murli has layers and layers and layers and layers. It's the ocean, and you want to go to the bottom, you have to be a good diver. Otherwise you
mhm,
can't go, and you have
mhm,
to deal with the currents and all the dramas. And what's also really very interesting to me is the brothers and sisters who you recognize along the way also. I mean, today is interesting because one brother has come who I haven't seen for about 40 years. And there
mhm,
he is. And we were just like, there was no time in between. No time.
mhm,
I didn't know him all that well, but here he is. And we just like, it's interesting in normal human life you have uh, time which is chronological, but in the confluence age it's like explosions, or even sometimes you experience that you go to Madhuban, then you come home, then you go again. It's like there's been no time in between. And of course,
mhm,
during COVID and for various reasons, many of us didn't go for a while, and you go back and it's like no time in between. And your
mhm.
relationship with your people in Madhuban, your people who are serving in other places or whatever it is, but we are beyond geography and beyond time. And it's like we are together for whole eternity somehow. We know each other. I know you like that too. Hmm?
Uh-huh, I guess so.
Yeah.
We met in Barcelona and we chatted a little bit. And yeah, that was the feeling, no?
Yeah.
As a very familiar feeling, no?
Yeah, so it's like we live together, we travel together, all of our brothers and sisters who are from the early times or from the beginning of the cycle here. We still are, and we are beyond religion, beyond race, beyond culture, beyond all of those things, even though embedded in our own particular cultures and so on. But we are connected, and it's a magical sort of thing, which is indestructible.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
So, Sister Denise, by your words and by someone telling me, I assume that you were the first Shakti sister in the Western world. Is that right?
It seems to be, yes, I would say it's right. So I was an experiment, and Daddy thought, oh, let's see if I can make this one into a full top super duper Brahma Kumari. So she gave me the Navy SEAL training.
So that connects, while I was preparing my questions, that connects you somehow with the experience of Brahma Baba as being Arjuna. Some,
Yeah.
somehow, no? Being the first one in that sense, no? In the Western world, with a Western body, but also being a sister, no? So how has been this experience of being Arjuna, being the first one in these ways, all these years? Maybe in the first stages, what could you share with us? But also up to this moment, no? What could you tell us about this?
Well, they always introduce me. She is the first Western sister, etc., etc. And I always say, really, it's like it doesn't make any difference to me because you see, in the family, like interesting, right? Right here, I'm talking to you from my brother's place, Brother Anthony, who many of you know, and
Mhm.
my other brother is also here, and we haven't seen each other for quite a long time. But anyway, he said, "Oh, yeah, you're the eldest. I'm the eldest. He's the second. Anthony's the third." I said, "Yeah, sorry, I always will be. It's biological. It happens like that." And I think the same in BK. I mean, the most important thing is that I had this full access to Dadi, who decided she wanted me to know everything, whatever she knew, and she would put me through every kind of imaginable and unimaginable sort of training to make me into a good yogi and all that. So, we had a contract. I said, I will accept anything, but you give me the juice. I want the gyan properly, and I want to really understand the yoga. So I don't care how expensive it is. You make me sit for hours or stay up all night or whatever it is, fine, no problem. Send me to the far end of the universe, no problem. But this is our contract. And until the last of her life, it has been. And so I have a very, very good foundation, as she put it. And now that the circumstances in the yagya, you call it the living yagya, and the yagya to me is not the same as the BK organization. The organization is a very solid, clear structure, and everybody has their designation and their position in it, their role. But the yagya is something like a flame to me, because of course the yagya means sacrificial fire. So we sacrifice ourselves like moths into the flame, and it transforms us. So I take it like that because I'm a kind of more, I should say, out of the box kind of person, and more poetical. And I like mythology and symbolism and all of those things more than administrative stuff, which I'm not very keen on. And I sustain myself with that. And you see, the yagya is also the people. you see. It's Baba, it's Bap Dada, it's the advanced party, it's the people. And, the buildings and the systems are infrastructure, but it's not the thing, you see. And even all the infrastructure goes away, but the yag is still there. It's an eternal flame, and it burns in our hearts and in our minds, and it keeps us together as like rays of Shiv Baba's sunshine, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And it's inextinguishable. And there's songs, the weak one is fighting against the big storm, but the weak one wins, you see, because we are connected with the source. So it doesn't matter. It gives us courage. It gives us this spirit of adventure. It makes us innovative. It makes us go to the depths of Gyan and the depths of all the work of cleaning the soul and becoming free, you see, because the promise of the Yagya is Mukti and Jivan Mukti. And he says, your identity, forget about biodata, that's not your identity. You are Swadarshan Chakradari, you are Trinetri, you are, Raj Yogis, you are Raj Rishis. This is your identity, right? And I like that.
Mm-hmm. So, continuing with this Arjuna role,
I don't know.
how was to be Arjuna with all the aspects that I just described in India? Because you were living in India, no, some years. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I was 10 years in India during this
Uh-huh.
process for the value education books that I was writing. So it took me probably about 7 years to get it all in order. And I taught in different parts of India. I traveled a lot, and I had, a department in Madhuban, which is still there. And I did a lot of stuff in Godlywood Studio with videos and so on. So I know how Madhuban works and how I had to organize a gigantic program with thousands of participants. And I was taught how to do these huge events in Madhuban, so I could do that. And that was incredible. Every time something new comes along, it comes along with a lot of training, a lot of expertise, and added experience, and you get wider, broader, and it just keeps going and going and going, and it's very sustaining.
Mm-hmm.
Very sustaining. I was there just recently, and I operate very well in the high energy of Madhuban. Some people, it makes them crazy because it's very, very high energy, but for me it allows me to hurry up and do everything quicker and better and so on. So I thrive in that atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. And changing a little bit of topic, in this whole experience of several decades of spiritual life, in this frame of the Yagya of the Brahma Kumaris, have you had any periods of eclipse? As Baba says, there are sometimes eclipses, no, that the soul maybe loses purpose, or it might be a bit depressed, whatever, no?
Yeah, no, I haven't had eclipse, but I've had holocausts and major catastrophes, been under attack, and all sorts of like negative stuff from the outside. From the inside, I've been pretty good because I'm a very, very grounded person. And I'm also somebody who can go very outside, very far away, very high up, and still not lose my connections. and always close to the daddies, always close to Baba. So whatever were the various different challenges and so on, they became like adventures, and they became filled with a lot of learning. You know, I one of the things I had was about 30 years of migraine headaches, which was pretty bad. And there I really learned about how to handle pain, how to be beyond the body, how to handle being in a state of pain for days and days and weeks at a time where nobody could even come near because I was too scary for them. I don't know why, but anyway. So I mean, everything has added something, and whether it's been, you know, I mean, I like these kinds of challenges. I'm not very interested in the sort of the signs of success, like you get awards and you get everybody thinks you're the flavor of the month and this and that. It's like that's okay, but the challenges are much more rewarding to me than that, because they let me find out who I am. They let me find out who's real, who's not real. They let me realize that it doesn't matter what is what, but I'm solid, very solid. So that makes me feel good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not dependent on anything. That makes me feel good too.
Mm-hmm. So again, in the case of eclipses, I hope we understand them more or less the same regarding what Baba says. What suggestion or advice could you tell to maybe brothers, sisters who have been through an eclipse, let's say so?
Well, you know, when there's an eclipse of the sun and the moon goes over it, everybody goes and watches it because there's this diamond ring effect, right? And the sun comes out, and it's like eclipses are very, very attractive for the huge worldwide public. And I think that for the self, when you go through this dark night of the soul, this is so um difficult, but so good, you know, because it forces you to go to the bottom of your subconscious and find out what's what, and clean yourself and go through this purging and so on and so forth. So I always, I mean, we learn, Raj Yoga is all about learning to take full advantage of all the things, whatever happens. And you look, for example, a real good lesson I learned is nobody can kill me. They can try. Nobody can kill me. I'm immortal. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Nobody can corrupt me. You can try. You can try and make me do something against my conscience and not going to work. You try and buy me, that will not work. I am not able to be corrupted. So get out. And nobody can break my spirit, you see. So these are tests that we have, and not everybody passes them, but you have to realize this. Nobody can kill me, nobody can corrupt me, nobody can break my spirit. End of story. Next, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
but you know, unless you have a real serious opposition from the inside, from the outside, from the logic, from the alogic, unless you get that, you never find out these things.
Hmm.
And you can't know these things theoretically in books or murlis or whatever. You know them through bitter experience, and you find out, yeah, this is what it is, and then you are increased in the quality of who you are as you discover these things. You see,
Hmm.
Raj Yoga is for your whole life. It means you come in as a young person, okay, fair enough, but then you have to go through. You have to get older and older and older, and you go through this and that and the other, upside, downside, good days, bad days. Everybody loves you, everybody hates you. It's okay. I call it the divine comedy. It's all good,
Mm-hmm. Like
you know?
Dante.
exactly like Dante. So you're going to have a bit of Paradiso, a bit of Inferno, and a bit of the other one. What's it called? The Limbo. I forgot the name.
Purgatory.
Purgatorio. Yeah, you need plenty of that. That's very good.
Yeah. So in
And
this process, I myself, I am a therapist, an art therapist. So I kind of understand what you're talking about in this process of pain, suffering, bitterness, and this process of transformation into something living, beautiful, soft, etc. No.
mm,
Uh, how is it for you, this transfer, this alchemic process, no, somehow, no,
yeah.
of transforming as a waste, for example, into something that will nurture a seed or will nurture a plant or a new tree, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Metaphorically, no?
Yeah, and it's all good, but you see, you have to be open to it. You have to be willing. And you see, because my relationship with Raj Yoga is this is the most difficult thing in existence. I never heard about easy Raj Yoga. There's no such thing anyway. It's difficult. And if it's not difficult, there's something wrong, you know? So I take these difficulties and I use them. I may have to sit with it for a while to figure it out. What is this, you know? But always it's like a companion. Sometimes people say, oh, Maya, it's a bad thing. And Baba says, no, you have to have Maya. If you don't have Maya, you won't understand anything. You got to see the contrast. You've got to know what is the dark side. And you've got to be
Mm.
willing to go wherever it takes you. And if it takes you into solitary confinement or loneliness or rejection or whatever it is all good, grist for the mill. And, you know, uh, I think some of us have been through hell, I mean, enormously.
Mm.
So you give us a bit more hell, what's the difference, you know?
Yeah, we already know somehow, no, the process, no, the
Yeah, and
experience.
it's okay. And you're a survivor, you see. That's
Mm.
the title Dr. Nirmala gave me. She said, you are a survivor. I said, yep, you got it.
Yeah,
And Daddy
yeah.
Janki said to me, oh, I know you need freedom. I said, yep, I need freedom. Don't try and put me in a box. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand you. Yes.
Yeah.
So connecting that with my next question, I think it's very connected. In which ways an institutional frame of spirituality is an obstacle to authentic spirituality?
Well, I'm entirely anti-institutional. So fortunately, as I came into Gyan in the beginning, there wasn't any institution that tried to tie itself around me. And anytime anybody tried to do that, I would have various coping mechanisms. But institution is prison or a mental hospital, and I don't think that's very good for me. For a lot of people, they like the safety of an institution, they feel the security, and so it may be very good. I'm entirely non-religious person, and religious people seem to like institutions better, but I've always been you know oh, they would always call me a rebel and this and that and so on and so forth. I said, no, I'm not. I may be a revolutionary, but this is a revolution, so it's good. But no, I don't do well on agreeing to be diminished in my being, which is what happens when you get the sort of institutional patriarchal system. I don't go for that at all. And look, we are souls, 42 births male, 42 births female. Don't try and limit me. Who are you? What are you? Yeah. So I think, sometimes you can be in an institutional framework. You have to deal with it because it's a reality. So you have to deal with it, but you don't have to be limited by it. I think Sheep Baba is not limited by the BK organization.
Mm-hmm.
But the BK organization is limited by Sheep Baba.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, this whole theme is, I'm referring to the noise that roles, hierarchy, etc., roles of responsibility somehow interfere in our very pristine and pure.
No, you see, this Brahma Kumaris, if you see the picture of the ladder, it says on the old one, right? It's all been purged of all the real stuff, the new ones. But the old one says this is the religio-political rise and fall of Bharat, And so we are not a spiritual organization, we're also political. And in India, they're completely aware of the political side of it, but in the West, it's not much spoken about, but it's highly political. And political means you need to understand how to operate with people. An institution is part of that, you see. So you have to deal with the institution. Now, you may want to be this role or that role or the other role in terms of title and so on and so forth. And for me, I've had many titles given, taken away, given, taken away. It doesn't make any difference to me because that's not my identity. It'll be a responsibility. So if I have a responsibility, I'll fulfill it. I have a very serious ethical policy that I don't allow anyone to interfere with. And I fulfill my role as best as I can, according to my principles. And if it's taken away, I get another one, as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm very happy to go from one thing to another, from this end of the world to that end of the world, reinvent myself. That's not a problem. I am, I don't need power. I am powerful. I don't, need any of these things. So I don't care. The money comes, goes, this, that, they love me, they hate me. It doesn't matter because I'm loved by God.
That's enough.
Well, and nobody can give me what God gives me,
Mm-hmm.
24/7.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm okay, and if I have a role or not a role or whatever, it's like that's not the point. That's not why we come into Raj Yoga. We come into Raj Yoga for various reasons initially, but why we are in Raj Yoga is we're studying this, you see, and we're studying all of it, including all the stuff that happens to us. All of it has meaning, and you can extract value from every single bit of it. You don't have to forget who you are and why you're doing this. You're a Raj Yogi, you're a Raj Rishi, you are a Swadarsan Chakradhari, you are these titles that Baba gives us. They're really our identity. And the role is just, something you have to do for a certain amount of time, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm remembering when you're talking about the religio-political relations with different power structures. I'm remembering when the first atomic bomb trials took place in India, and the scientist who was the author of the atomic program in India was so friendly and so in touch with the BKs. That really made me some kind of inconsistency as I saw it at that point, no. maybe we could talk about the actual situation in India with the actual government and the relations between the BK institution and the government. But
Yeah,
this
okay.
is also a whole theme, no? Of how do I see it, even though I belong to this Yagya and I am within this BK institution, no?
Well, you see, it's again part of the political thing. And Baba had always said, you know, you need to be in good connection with the government, with the VIPs and all of that, because you have to understand how India works. I mean, you understand South America's, but the same sort of thing. If you do not have a good relationship with the government which is in power, it limits your ability to do your work. And there are
Mm.
many, many things that are required, which are very much connected with having good relationships at all levels of the civil service, the government. You know, there are elected officials which come and go, but the civil service is permanent. And so, you know, BKs have made since the beginning good relationships with the civil service, with the police, with the you know, the people who run all the administration, transport, visas, you know, property, all these things. You have to have good connections among the people who give permits and so on. And Mr. Modi is, you can see him surrounded by religious people. Sannyasis are usually there. Brahma Kumaris are very much evident. The president of India is also a Brahma Kumari. And it means that I think in all the places in the world, India is the only place where religion and politics and social leadership all come together very well. You see, I'm living in France, right? And France is a place which is secular. So every single church in France belongs to the state, not to the Roman Catholic religion.
Mm-hmm.
And the French people are very secular. And India, when there was partition, India decided to be a secular republic. But India is very interesting because it's democratic and feudal at the same time, which is, of course, impossible anywhere else, but it's perfectly normal in India. And India is a place where, you know, the history of monarchy and empire is deep in the blood of every person who is part of India. And notwithstanding colonialism, of course, there's severe wounds from colonialism, the Islamic colonialism, the Mughals, and from the European colonialism. There are huge wounds, and they
Mm.
impact on the BK life. Because we have people from everywhere who are all together in this pressure cooker called Gyan. And there we are cooking away at high pressure, and we have to be in harmony with each other. And we all have, you know, kind of different values, different politics, this and that. But once we get through boiling over all the time, we finally turn into a good cake.
Mm-hmm.
Very tasty.
So we are just about to end, but um, I would like to ask two questions intertwined.
Mhm.
Um, how do you see the state of the world right now, especially with these two wars, very important and risky wars, the one in Ukraine, the one in Middle East?
Yeah, well, I follow them very, very closely. And
Hmm.
especially, I follow what is the latest development in weapons.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's very significant that for the first time in history, a hypersonic missile, which is non nuclear, traveling at Mach 10, was able to do the work of a nuclear bomb without a mushroom cloud, without radiation, and without all that dust which would cover the sun. And this is now, they don't make new nuclear bombs anymore because they're out of date. Now we have these new things, which are the hypersonic. And at the moment, the ones that were deployed from Russia, they cannot be shot down. And so the method of war is still in many ways the same methods that were being used during Second World War, but now it's a whole different thing. And what we have at the moment is we are on the edge of international non-nuclear but equal to nuclear war any second now. Could be this week, tomorrow morning we may all be vaporized, but probably we'll still be here. And it's a very, very critical time. But what I'm also aware of is that it's a wake-up call because I think there's very, very few people who really seriously work at trying to find out what's going on because, you know, I'm a news person, so I know from working in news for not very long time, but long enough to know that they don't really want the public to know everything because it's way too scary. But there are people who need to know. I'm one of them. I like to know exactly what's going on as far as I can, and what's true and what's not true and all of that. So because we have the angle of Gyan, the lens of Gyan in yoga to look at it on, and I say, yeah, you know, this is very, very important time. There's huge transformation going on. And I personally feel there is a correlation between what's going on in Madhuban and what's going on in the big wide world and what's going on in the BK organization as a whole, or the BK family as a whole. And what I see is that there's just this incredibly strong energy that is very, very positive, that's rising up, while at the same time, things of the old, which are no longer, you know, that kind of obsolete, they're no longer current, they don't work anymore, they're not relevant anymore, they're just falling away. So there's this newness happening. And a lot of it is undercover, it's secret, it's unknown, or it's hidden behind the curtain. But I like to look behind the curtain and see what's there. And I find it very good, but very scary. So, but I find it, you know, it's inspiring, but some people might find it too scary, but me, I find it inspiring. I'm very optimistic. And of course, when you know that everyone's immortal, it's easier to handle large numbers of people getting killed at once.
So connected with all these scenes that you have described, finally, what would be the main effort or the main focus for a Brahmin soul right now, for a BK soul right now, wherever he or she is?
Well, this is a question that gets asked to me, and it was in our discussion this evening. And people feel, okay, now what do we do? It's like we're not ready, we're not at that level. It's all happening too quickly, too much, too strong. But I say, look, Baba's in charge, he said, he is anyway. We have done XYZ amount of Gyan, Yoga, Seva, Dharana, etc. Of course, we have to maintain our practice and sustain it and maybe refine it. I think refinement is very important. We can't do things at ant speed. We have to do it at flying speed, as he sometimes used to say. And we look after each other. We take care and we look after whatever comes, Daddy Yankee used to say, service will come to you. You do whatever comes in front of you. You don't try and make things happen that are not coming in front of you. Deal with what comes in front of you. And that, I think, is good. And, we feel the benefits of our practice, what it does to us, how it strengthens us, how we all could sail through COVID where so many people had so much trouble, how we all can be flexible and adjustable to what happens. Because this is, like you called this is a living yagya, and that's exactly what it is. It's a life that we have with our study, with our relationships with each other, with our relationship with Shiv Baba, our relationship with the world. It's all very real. And it's you can see that it's destined to be successful, so you can have really good faith in that. That's important.
So thanks very much. I find this is a beautiful and powerful way to close our conversation. I don't know if you would like to say a few final words, and if so, please say them. If not, maybe we could finish with some seconds of drishti.
Yeah, well, let everyone know that, the whole yagya is in my heart, and my heart is in the whole yagya, and all of us are together in this bouquet of flowers in Baba's heart. So no worries. And yeah, let us have a few moments in Baba's remembrance.
So thanks very much.
Thank you. Om Shanti.